Welcome back. The ANC leadership in KwaZulu-Natal believes former President Jacob Zuma's refusal to appear before the State Capture Commission will have profound implications for the party. The party met with Zuma last week to discuss the issue. Speaking to SABC News, Party Secretary Mdumiseni Ntuli says the matter is unprecedented for the party in the province.
We had an opportunity through myself this past Wednesday to have a meeting with former President Zuma here in the ANC office. First and foremost, to benefit from his own position. Why has he taken the stance that he has taken? And he went into detail explaining a number of difficulties that he believes were created intentionally against him. The first one is that he had raised concerns about Justice Zondo and their historical relationship. And his bone of contention was that Justice Zondo does not qualify, does not have he would not have the objectivity and the impartiality that is required when he must preside over the case or over any matter that is involving former President Zuma. And of course, following the legal prescript, he then decided to challenge that. His first sense of discomfort is that when the matter was put before Justice Zondo decided that it's going to be the same person who's going to be a judge and a prosecutor on the matter. He feels that he's conflicted because he should have allowed a separate person to listen to the story of Justice Zondo and the story of former President Zuma, and then make a determination whether there's any merit to the points that were advanced by former President Zuma. Now that did not happen, obviously created an environment where when a decision is taken by Justice Zondo, former President Zuma decided to take that matter up on what is called a review, which he has done. He has taken it up through the High Court. Now, before the High Court could come to the conclusion on the matter, Justice Zondo has also taken, or the Commission decided to take the same matter to the Constitutional Court. Now, the impression that is created, at least on the part of former President Zuma, and I think many other South Africans, is that Justice Zondo used his proximity to the Constitutional Court to get a preferred earlier date for the matter to be considered. A matter that is still within the High Court of the Republic of South Africa. And President Zuma is very concerned about that the haste with which the matter was then taken to the Constitutional Court and the immediate conclusion on the matter by the Constitutional Court has signaled to him an impression that this is because of the proximity that the Deputy Chief Justice enjoys. Now, the other area of concern, of course, arising from the decision of the Constitutional Court is that he has interpreted some of the instructions or the decision of the Concourt to imply that his right to remain silent on some of the issues is no longer going to be recognized. And he feels that if that happens, it's not just only going to be a problem that it incriminates him or that he may stand the possibility of incriminating himself, but he believes that it's a travesty of justice. It's a violation of his rights as an individual, as a citizen, that he enjoys to remain silent on some of the matters that in his opinion, he doesn't have to answer the questions. So those are the concerns that we have now understood, having had an opportunity to engage with former President Zuma. Of course, our part of the reasons why we're engaging with him is because he's a former president of the ANC and that of the Republic. The current constitutional dispensation is as a result of the struggle that was led by the ANC, which he was part of. And our view was that we have to engage with him because we must not create an impression in society that we fought for the current dispensation and that when the highest court in the land takes a decision, we can still say we will turn our backs against that decision of the highest court, let alone from one of the preeminent leaders of our struggle, who was a former leader of the party and a former head of state. So that's the reason that we decided to engage with him, because we're worried about that. The second and the last reason why we were deeply concerned about that. You know, there are many South Africans, including within and outside the African National Congress, who share the concerns that JZ has about the way in which the court has handled these matters. Equally, there will be South Africans who are also very many that will have a different view from what he stands for on that issue of the Constitutional Court. So if he gets arrested, it's perfectly clear that society will be divided into two groups. There will be those who believe that his arrest is a traverse of justice, and others who will be convinced that he deserves to be arrested because he violated a decision of the highest court in the land. Now, that may not be a difficult issue for him because, he has been in prison in the past for a period of 10 years. This may be an arrest that is less than that. But the implications to the unity and the cohesion of the ANC are going to be very profound. Profound implications, because as you would have seen now, people who are visiting him coming from within the ranks of the ANC, in many instances, those are comrades who have taken side on the matter, who have decided to be on the side of former President Zuma. And I'm sure there are many others like them who might not have an opportunity to go and visit him at his homestead in Nkandla, but who share that view. And our concern is that sooner than later, the arrest of the former president will soon be appropriated to either the sitting president of the ANC or some of the leaders of the ANC. And when that happens, divisions in the ANC will run deep. And the ANC will lose its ability to lead our people towards the creation of a national democratic society. So the reason why we're standing up as a province was because we're worried about the future of our country. And we are convinced that the future of South Africa is deeply intertwined to the future of the ANC. If the ANC doesn't perform well, it doesn't live up to its own mission and the vision, South Africa is going to be something other than what all of us are dreaming about. So that's precisely the reason why we have taken an initiative to go and engage with the former president. Now, there are calls even within the ANC of comrades and the provinces that have said that he must be taken to a DC. We think that that must be a task of the national leadership of the ANC. We are not here talking about an ordinary chap. We're talking about the former president of the movement, a serving member of the National Executive Committee by virtue of being a former president of the ANC. Our view is that all of us who are concerned within and outside the ANC must, to a larger extent, especially those of us who are in the ANC, call upon the national officials of the ANC to rise to the occasion, to engage with the former president of the ANC, to make him understand the implications of the position that he has adopted, given the fact that the National Executive Committee, including in its last meeting, reaffirmed the support of the Commission of Inquiry. Now, what are the implications of that decision taken by one of its members when the whole body had agreed that we are behind the work that is taking place in the Zondo Commission of Inquiry? So our view is that we must not really rush to call for DC and all of those things. Let's rather appeal to the national officials to rise to the occasion, engage with the former president, and seek to persuade him to understand that he may have the courage and the bravery to serve another whatever period of a term of imprisonment. But that must not happen at the expense of the movement. Even when they sacrificed in the early 60s with Mandela and many other leaders of our movement and went to prison, it was not done in a way that was intended to that had consequences for the movement not to move forward. And we think in this case, if it does happen, it will not in any way enhance the prestige and the status of the movement, but it will have devastating consequences. And that's the reason why we're worried about that approach, and we think that it requires some kind of a political discussion.
Right, that was the ANC KZN Secretary Mdumiseni Ntuli in conversation with the SABC's Ayanda Mhlongo.